The epic story of House Targaryen in Westeros begins not with a conquest, but with an escape. In 114 BC, a young girl named Daenerys Targaryen experienced a terrifying prophetic vision. She foresaw the doom of Valyria, a disastrous event destined to destroy the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. Her father, Lord Aegon Targaryen, heeded her warning and made a radical choice. He sold off the family's vast holdings in the Valyrian freehold and moved his entire household, along with their wealth, slaves, and 5 dragons, to Dragonstone, the bleak volcanic fortress in the Narrow Sea. Rival dragon lords mocked Aegon as a coward. However, when the doom struck 12 years later in 102 BC, completely destroying the Valyrian peninsula, it left the Targaryens among the last surviving dragon lords in the known world. Daenerys, remembered ever after as the Dreamer, also established the tradition of prophetic dragon dreams within the family, a gift that would guide and haunt later generations. After Aenar's death, the lordship passed to his son Gaemon Targaryen, remembered as Gaemon the Glorious. Gaemon married his sister, Daenerys the Dreamer, and their known children included Aegon, Aelena, and at least one younger daughter. When Gaemon died, rule of Dragonstone passed not to a single heir, but jointly to Aegon and Aelena, who ruled together as both siblings and spouses, continuing the old Valyrian custom. From Aegon and Aelena, the succession continued through their sons. First came Maegor Targaryen, and after him his brother Aerys Targaryen. The sources on these early lords of Dragonstone are extremely thin, which is itself worth noting. For much of the Century of Blood, the Targaryens remained powerful, but largely apart from the struggles tearing Essos apart after the Doom. What matters most for the family tree is that the line remained intact. Aerys had 3 sons who ruled Dragonstone in turn, Aelix, Balon, and Damian. This showed the Targaryen line of succession, moving between brothers before descending again into the next generation. The last of the 3, Damian, was succeeded by his son Aerion Targaryen. Aerion then married Valena Velaryon, herself half Targaryen on her mother's side, further tightening the long alliance between Dragonstone and Driftmark. Their children were Visenya, Aegon, and Rhaenys, the most significant generation in Westerosi history. Under Aegon Targaryen I, better known as Aegon the Conqueror, the Targaryens rose from island lords to rulers of a continent. Born in 27 BC, Aegon began his campaign to unite Westeros in 2 BC, but he did not stand alone. At his side were his sister wives, Visenya and Rhaenys. Aegon rode the mighty Balerion and carried the Valyrian steel sword Blackfyre. Visenya, stern and formidable, rode Vhagar and wielded Darksister, while the charming and much-loved Rhaenys flew on Meraxes. Their conquest was swift and brutal. At Harrenhal, Aegon and Balerion completely destroyed House Hoare, melting the greatest castle in Westeros with dragon fire. At the Field of Fire, the only battle in which all 3 dragons fought together, Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys incinerated the armies of House Gardner and their allies. Aegon later forged the Iron Throne from the swords of his defeated enemies and established King's Landing as his capital. Yet the conquest was not complete. Dorne resisted fiercely, and in 10 AC, Rhaenys and Meraxes were killed at Hellholt by a scorpion bolt, a blow that left lasting scars on both Aegon and Visenya. Aegon ruled until his death from a stroke in 37 AC. Visenya survived him by several years, founding the Kingsguard. The Conqueror's legacy shaped the monarchy that followed, establishing the titles, symbols, and traditions of the Iron Throne, and casting a shadow over every ruler who came after. After the death of Aegon the Conqueror in 37 AC, the Iron Throne passed to his elder son, King Aenys Targaryen I, born of Aegon's marriage to Queen Rhaenys. Aenys married Alyssa Velaryon, and together they had several children including Prince Aegon, Princess Rhaena, Prince Jaehaerys, and Princess Alysanne. But though he inherited the united realm his father had forged, Aenys lacked Aegon's force of character. His worst mistake came in 41 AC when he married his son Aegon to his daughter Rhaena, following Valyrian custom. The Faith of the Seven condemned the match, and the resulting outrage helped ignite the uprising of the Faith militant. Unable to control the crisis, Aenys fled to Dragonstone, where he died in 42 AC. The throne was then taken by Maegor Targaryen I, Aenys' half-brother and the only surviving son of Aegon and Visenya. Maegor made repeated efforts to establish a dynasty of his own. He took 6 wives in total, including the 3 so-called Black Brides, widows of men he had killed and then forced into marriage. But none of these unions secured the succession. Maegor's wives produced only stillborn and deformed children, leaving his branch of the family a dead end. As king, Maegor ruled through terror. He rode Balerion the Black Dread, wielded Blackfyre, and crushed the Faith Militant with Dragonfire. But his brutality isolated him, and support steadily gathered around the surviving sons of Aenys. In 48 AC, Maegor died in mysterious circumstances. He was found on the Iron Throne, his arms torn open by its blades. The crown then passed back to Aenys' descendants with the accession of Jaehaerys Targaryen I. Jaehaerys soon married his sister Alysanne Targaryen. Together, Jaehaerys and Alysanne had 13 children, though only 9 survived to adulthood, including Aemon, Balon, Alyssa, Vaegon, and Daela. Princess Daela Targaryen lived only a short time, but her place in the family line proved important. She married Lord Roderick Arryn, and together they had one daughter, Aemma Arryn, who would later become central to the Targaryen succession. Jaehaerys restored the stability Maegor had shattered. Known as the Conciliator, he made peace with the faith, strengthened royal law, and ruled for 55 years. At his side stood good Queen Alysanne, his sister, wife, and closest advisor, who played a major role in rebuilding the realm. Yet despite their long and successful reign, the many losses within their family created a mounting succession problem. Jaehaerys outlived both Aemon and Balon, his 2 principal heirs, while Vaegon became an archmaester and took no part in rule. This created a crisis and led to the Great Council of 101 AC, which decided to favor the male line. The main casualty of this decision was Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, who became known to history as the Queen Who Never Was. Rhaenys was the daughter of Prince Aemon Targaryen and Lady Jocelyn Baratheon. She married Lord Corlys Velaryon and rode the dragon Meleys the Red Queen. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the blood of the dragon, make sure to subscribe for more Westerosi history. After the death of Jaehaerys I in 103 AC, the Iron Throne passed to his grandson King Viserys Targaryen I, a son of Prince Balon Targaryen. Viserys was a genial and peaceable ruler, and his reign marked the high point of Targaryen wealth, stability, and dragon power. Yet for all its outward calm, his reign planted the seeds of a dynastic catastrophe. Viserys first married Aemma Arryn, daughter of his aunt Daela. Their only surviving child was Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. After Aemma's death, Viserys named Rhaenyra his heir, in defiance of the Great Council of 101 AC. Rhaenyra, known as the realm's delight, rode Syrax and became the center of the succession. Rhaenyra had first married Sir Laenor Velaryon, and that marriage produced 3 sons, Jaehaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey Velaryon. Although Harwin Strong, captain of the City Watch and Rhaenyra's purported lover, was believed to be the father, her position was complicated by Prince Daemon Targaryen, Viserys' younger brother. Daemon was the king's closest adult male relative and a dangerous rival presence within the family. A brilliant but unpredictable warrior, he wielded Darksister, rode Caraxes, and briefly made himself king in the Stepstones. The succession crisis deepened when Viserys married Alicent Hightower, who bore him several children, Aegon, Helaena, Aemond, and Daeron. Even with sons of his own, Viserys refused to disinherit Rhaenyra. When he died in 129 AC, Alicent's faction, the Greens, concealed his death and crowned Aegon II instead. That act shattered the royal family and began the Dance of the Dragons, the most devastating civil war in Westerosi history. On one side stood Viserys' named heir, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, his daughter by Queen Aemma Arryn. Her claim was strengthened when she married Prince Daemon, her uncle. Their union produced 2 more sons, Aegon and Viserys. On the other side stood the children of Viserys by his second wife, Queen Alicent Hightower, Aegon, Helaena, Aemond, and Daeron. After Viserys' death, Alicent's faction crowned her eldest son as King Aegon II, ignoring Rhaenyra's claim as heir. Aegon then married his sister Helaena Targaryen, producing 3 children, twins Jaehaerys and Jaehaera, and Maelor, while their brother Prince Aemon became the fiercest military champion of the Green Cause. The war destroyed both branches. Lucerys was slain by Aemon above Shipbreaker Bay, and Jaehaerys died at the Battle of the Gullet. Helaena was broken by the murder of her son Jaehaerys by assassins. In 130 AC, Daemon and Aemond killed each other in a dragon duel above the God's Eye. Rhaenyra, after briefly taking King's Landing, was betrayed at Dragonstone and fed to Aegon II's dragon, Sunfire, while her young son watched. Aegon II survived her only briefly before being poisoned by his own counselors in 131 AC. The war left the dynasty shattered, and Rhaenyra's son Aegon III inherited a broken realm. The elder of her 2 sons by Prince Daemon Targaryen, Aegon was still a boy when he became king. To help reconcile the rival Targaryen branches, Aegon married his cousin Jaehaerys Targaryen, the daughter of Aegon II and Helaena. That union symbolically joined the black and green lines, but Jaehaerys died young and left no children. Aegon later married Daenerys Velaryon, and together they had 5 children, including his heirs Daeron and Baelor. Aegon ruled for 26 years, giving the realm a much-needed period of stability, but he was a somber and joyless king, forever scarred by witnessing his mother's death. During his reign, the last dragon died, earning him the name Aegon the Dragonbane. When Aegon III died in 157 AC, he was succeeded by his eldest son, Daeron Targaryen I, remembered as Daeron the Young Dragon. Daeron was young, bold, and warlike, and he sought to win glory by conquering Dorne. While he succeeded where many others had failed, the conquest could not be held. In 161 AC, Daeron was killed under a peace banner, dying without issue. The crown passed to his younger brother, Baelor Targaryen I. Known as Baelor the Blessed, the second surviving son of Aegon III took a very different path. Deeply pious, he made peace with Dorne, built the Great Sept, and became famous for his religious devotion. Despite marrying sister Dana in 160 AC, the marriage was never consummated, and after becoming king, he persuaded the High Septon to dissolve the marriage. He then confined Dana and his other sisters Rhaena and Elaena to the Maiden Vault to protect him from temptation. It worked, and Baelor died childless in 171 AC. After the death of Baelor I, the crown briefly passed to his uncle Viserys Targaryen II, and then in 172 AC to King Aegon Targaryen IV, the elder son of Viserys. Known as Aegon the Unworthy, he presided over a period of corruption and decadence that nearly destroyed the realm. Aegon married his sister Daenerys, a pious woman who wept during their bedding ceremony. Their union produced the future King Daeron II, though Aegon himself spread malicious rumors, claiming that his brother, Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, was Daeron's true father. Despite the rumors, Daeron remained the lawful successor, but in 184 AC, Aegon triggered a crisis with his final act, legitimizing all of his bastards on his deathbed. This poisoned the succession for generations, plunging House Targaryen into repeated civil wars. The most dangerous new branch of the royal bloodline was House Blackfyre, founded by Daemon Blackfyre, born Daemon Waters, the bastard son of Aegon IV, and Princess Dana Targaryen. It was Daemon, not Daeron, who wielded the ancestral sword Blackfyre, a symbol of rule gifted to him by his father, which greatly strengthened his claim. In 196 AC, Daemon led the first Blackfyre rebellion, drawing much of the realm into a choice between red and black. He was supported by his half-brother Aegor Rivers, known as Bittersteel, while another half-brother, Brynden Rivers, known as Bloodraven, remained loyal to Daeron. At the Redgrass Field, Daemon was killed, and the claim of his branch passed to his sons and descendants. Bittersteel escaped to Essos with the sword Blackfyre, preserving the line in exile and later founding the Golden Company to keep their cause alive. And if you want to keep our cause alive, don't forget to leave a like. The Blackfyre branch rose again and again over the next 60 years. Daemon Blackfyre II led the Second Rebellion, while later pretenders carried the claim through the Third and Fourth Rebellions. The male line finally ended with Meleys the Monstrous, the last Blackfyre pretender, whose death in the War of the Ninepenny Kings extinguished the Blackfyre threat at last. After the death of Aegon IV, the crown passed to his son King Daeron Targaryen II. From the beginning, Daeron's branch of the family had to contend with the shadow cast by Aegon's bastards, above all, Daemon Blackfyre. Daeron's own position was further weakened by rumors that he was not truly Aegon's son at all. Despite those challenges, Daeron strengthened the royal line through marriage. He wed Princess Miriah Martell, and that union brought Dorne peacefully into the realm. He forged even closer ties to Dorne with the marriage of his sister Daenerys Targaryen to Prince Meryn Martell. By Miriah, Daeron had several sons, including Baelor, Aerys, Rhaegal, and Maekar. The most distinguished of Daeron's sons was Prince Baelor Targaryen, better known as Baelor Breakspear. As Prince of Dragonstone, he was both his father's heir and his hand of the king. By all accounts, he seemed the ideal successor, able, honorable, and battle-tested. Baelor married Lady Jaena Dondarrion of the Stormlands, and they had two sons, Valar and Materys. But the succession soon began to unravel. In 209 AC, Baelor Breakspear died after the Trial of Seven at Ashford Meadow when he received a mortal blow from the mace of his own brother Maekar. Daeron himself died soon afterward in the Great Spring Sickness, along with Baelor's sons, Valar and Materys. The crown then passed to Aerys I, a scholarly man who showed little interest in ruling, or his wife, or anything other than reading. He died in 221 AC, having failed to produce an heir. Baelor and Aerys' younger brother, King Maekar Targaryen I, inherited a throne already shaped by family losses. He married Diana Dane, and together they had several sons, including Daeron, Aerion, Aemon, and Aegon. In theory, this gave Maekar a strong line of succession. In practice, it became another dynastic tangle. His eldest son, Prince Daeron, remembered as Daeron the Drunken, died before his father. His second son, Prince Aerion Brightflame, was brilliant, cruel, and unstable, and he too died before succeeding, after drinking wildfire in the delusion that it would turn him into a dragon. That left Maekar's younger sons. Prince Aemon had already been sent to the Citadel, removing himself from politics and succession in the usual way for a younger highborn son. Prince Aegon, the youngest of the brothers, seemed at first the least likely to rule. Known in youth as Egg, he spent much of his early life not at court, but traveling the realm as squire to Sir Duncan the Tall. But when Maekar died in 233 AC, the dynasty once again had to look beyond the most obvious heirs. At the Great Council of 233 AC, Aemon, though elder to Aegon, refused the crown and held to his maester's vows, later joining the Night's Watch. With Aemon set aside, the crown passed to Aegon Targaryen V, forever remembered as Aegon the Unlikely. As king, Aegon Targaryen V ruled beside his wife, Queen Betha Blackwood, whom he had married for love in 220 AC. Together they had 5 children: Prince Duncan, Prince Jaehaerys, Princess Shaera, Prince Daeron, and Princess Rhaelle. Aegon hoped to use those children to strengthen the dynasty, arranging marriages that would bind the great houses more closely to the crown, but his plans were thwarted. Duncan set aside his place in the succession to marry Jenny of Oldstones, while Jaehaerys wed his sister Shaera, and Daeron broke his own betrothal. With his authority weakened, Aegon turned to the old Targaryen source of power, hoping to hatch dragons and restore the strength of his house. That effort ended in the tragedy of Summerhall in 259 AC, where Aegon V, his heir Prince Duncan, and his old companion Sir Duncan the Tall all died in the flames. The crown then passed to Aegon's second son, King Jaehaerys Targaryen II. A sickly, frail man with large purple eyes, he and sister-wife Shaera had 2 children, Aerys and Rhaella. Jaehaerys successfully defended the realm during the War of the Ninepenny Kings, but his decision to marry his own children, Aerys and Rhaella, based on a Woods Witch's prophecy, sealed the dynasty's doom. When Jaehaerys II died in 262 AC, he was succeeded by his son Aerys Targaryen II, who ruled beside his sister-wife Queen Rhaella. Their marriage produced the next generation of the dynasty, including Prince Rhaegar, Prince Viserys, and Princess Daenerys. Aerys began his reign with promise, but his reign descended into a nightmare of paranoia and cruelty. The The turning point was the defiance of Duskendale in 277 AC, where he was held captive for 6 months, shattering his sanity. The dynasty finally collapsed during Robert's rebellion. After Aerys had Rickard and Brandon Stark executed, revolt spread across the realm. In 283 AC, as King's Landing fell, Aerys ordered the city burned with hidden caches of wildfire. Before the command could be carried out, he was killed by Sir Jaime Lannister of his own King's Guard, ending the rule of the Targaryens after nearly 3 centuries. The Mad King's fall left his children to navigate the ruins of the dynasty. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, the Silver Prince, was a melancholic scholar in his youth, until an ancient prophecy convinced him he must become a warrior. He married Elia Martell, only to abduct Lyanna Stark after the tourney at Harrenhal in 281 AC, triggering Robert's rebellion. Rhaegar was slain by Lyanna's betrothed, Robert Baratheon, at the Battle of the Trident in 283 AC. As the Targaryen dynasty fell, Rhaegar's younger siblings, Viserys and Daenerys Stormborn, were smuggled to Essos. After more than a decade in exile, Viserys, the Beggar King, grew bitter and abusive, eventually selling Daenerys to Khal Drogo for an army. His impatience led to his death in 298 AC, crowned with molten gold in Vaes Dothrak. Daenerys emerged as the sole surviving Targaryen claimant. In a miraculous ritual on Drogo's funeral pyre, she hatched 3 dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. Styling herself the Breaker of Chains, she conquered Slaver's Bay, abolishing slavery and amassing an army to reclaim Westeros. Her rise from a timid exile to a powerful dragon rider and general shifted the global balance of power, and in 305 AC she retook King's Landing in an awesome display of dragonfire. However, in her moment of triumph, she succumbed to the madness that plagued the Targaryen bloodline, murdering thousands of innocents as the bells of surrender rang. The final hidden branch of the Targaryen family tree is Jon Snow, born Aegon Targaryen in 283 AC at the Tower of Joy. Despite being the true-born son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, Jon was raised as the bastard son of Lord Eddard Stark to protect him from Robert Baratheon's wrath. Growing up in Winterfell, Jon embodied the Stark values of honor and duty, keeping the faith of the old gods and bonding with his albino direwolf Ghost. Joining the Night's Watch at 14, Jon rose to become the 998th Lord Commander. He made the controversial decision to ally with the wildlings against the existential threat of the White Walkers, leading to his assassination by mutinous brothers. Resurrected by the Red Priestess Melisandre, Jon reclaimed Winterfell and was proclaimed king in the north. He eventually bonded with the dragon Rhaegal, named for the father he never knew. Jon's legacy united ancient enemies to save the realm from darkness. In the process, he fell in love with Daenerys, his aunt. But as she descended into tyranny, corrupted by the Iron Throne, he assassinated her to save the realm. Exiled once more to the Night's Watch, Jon relinquished his claim as the last of the royal Targaryen line and disappeared into the far north. He is the ultimate culmination of ice and fire, seen by many as the prince that was promised, who saved the world even if the world never fully understood his sacrifice. If you enjoyed this comprehensive tour of the Targaryen family tree, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive.